Hello and welcome. The scripture readings we're diving into today, they ask what is probably one of the most personal and profound questions in the entire Christian faith. It's a question that just cuts through all the noise and gets right to the very heart of what it means to follow Christ.
And there it is. That's the question. Jesus asks Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And while he's speaking directly to Peter, this question just echoes through the centuries, doesn't it? It lands right in front of each of us. It's a question that looks right past all our failures and invites us into a kind of love that can change everything.
Okay, so where does this all happen? The setting is a huge deal. The Gospel of John tells us that Jesus and Peter are standing by a charcoal fire. Now wait a minute. Think back. The last time we saw Peter near a charcoal fire was the night he denied even knowing Jesus. Not just once, but 3 times. So this isn't a random setting. The scene is being deliberately set for a moment of incredible healing. And you see what Jesus is doing, right? It's this powerful, beautiful symmetry. He asks Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 separate times. Now, this isn't some kind of memory test, and it's definitely not about making Peter feel guilty. It is a direct, intentional act of restoration. Each question is a chance for Peter to undo one of his denials, healing that wound of failure and rebuilding his devotion on a totally new, much more humble foundation. So here's the crucial point. The love that Jesus is asking for, it's not just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's what our source material calls a purified love. This is a love that has been through the fire of failure and has come out the other side humbled. It's a love that knows its own weakness, but it's now ready to be put into action for a real purpose. And that's the key right there. This restored, this purified love, it isn't meant to just be some private, internal feeling. No, it is immediately given a job to do. It's given a sacred responsibility that flows directly from Peter's profession of love. Think about it. Every single time Peter says, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you," what does Jesus do? He gives him a command. Feed my lambs, tend my sheep, feed my sheep. This isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a commission. This is where the pastoral authority of the church is established, where love for Christ becomes active service and care for his people. And this call to action isn't just for Peter. In our first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, we see it expressed in a totally different way through St. Paul. So here's Paul, he's on trial before the Roman governor Festus, and Festus is just baffled. He explains that the charges against Paul aren't about normal crimes. The entire conflict, the whole thing, hinges on Paul's stubborn claim about a certain Jesus who had died but who Paul claimed was alive. So you have these 2 giants, right? Peter and Paul, and together they show us how the same core mission can have very different expressions. Peter is called to be the shepherd, taking care of the community from the inside. Paul is called to be the witness, proclaiming the truth of the resurrection to the whole world. But at the end of the day, they're both living out the same essential call: make the risen Christ known, no matter what it costs them personally.
But, answering this call, it involves more than just action, more than just words. It demands a willingness to embrace the ultimate cost, which is sacrifice. It really requires a complete and total surrender to God's will.
Right after Peter gives this incredible mission, he gives him this mysterious, almost chilling prophecy. And our sources explain that this is a direct reference to how Peter will die, to his martyrdom. That image of stretching out his hands, it points to crucifixion. This is what discipleship ultimately leads to. Not seeking our own comfort, but a total surrender, a willingness to follow Jesus all the way to the cross. Now, it's so easy to hear that and think, okay, that's for the great saints, for the apostles and martyrs. That's not for me. But the church gives us this amazing example of how this call gets lived out in the ordinary, often messy and difficult circumstances of daily life. And that example is St. Rita of Cascia. St. Rita lived this gospel perfectly. She wasn't an apostle preaching to kings. She was a wife, a mother, and eventually a widow who endured a tremendously difficult marriage. She answered Jesus' question, "Do you love me?" not with grand speeches, but through heroic, daily patience and forgiveness. She fed Christ's sheep by praying and sacrificing for her family. Her life became this quiet, powerful testimony that Christ can take our suffering and transform it into grace. So when you put it all together, Peter's restoration, Paul's bold witness, Rita's quiet faithfulness, it all brings the focus right back to us, right here, right now. These readings aren't just stories from the past. They are a living word that asks us today, how will you answer?
So that question Jesus asked Peter by the fire, it comes back to each of us. Do I truly love Christ? And the measure of that love isn't just a feeling in my heart or a quick yes. It's proven in the little choices we make every day, in our obedience to His will, in our service to the people He puts in our path, and in our willingness to accept sacrifice.
So how do we do that? How do we make our yes real? Well, our source material gives us 3 concrete, powerful ways to put this love into action today. First, just take a moment in prayer to renew your love for Jesus. Just tell him. Second, go out and actively care for someone you're responsible for, a family member, a friend, a coworker. And third, accept one sacrifice willingly. Offer up a moment of inconvenience or frustration for the love of Christ.
You know, when Jesus asks him for that third time, the scripture says Peter was hurt. His response is just one of complete humility. Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. And that's our encouragement right there. Our love might be weak. We may have failed in the past, but we can trust that he knows our hearts. We can offer him the love we have right now, and he will accept it. And so we end right back where we started. Jesus is standing before you, just like he stood before Peter, and he's asking that same simple question, do you love me? The real challenge for all of us is, how will our life, our actions, our choices, our sacrifices, how will that be our answer today?